Yamuna Tira. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Ashtottara Sadasri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Padaya Samstaya Bhutale Srimate Sankarsana Sadhikariti Namane Namo Prabhupada Anuga Prema Masti Kripatmane Gaurade Shankar. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, Text 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayed Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikhi. Text 16. Text 14. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranaghe rishinam shrotu kamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranaghe rishinam shrotu kamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranaghe rishinam shrotu kamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranaghe rishinam shrotu kamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranaghe rishinam shrotu kamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranaghe rishinam shrotu kamanam Yogam Sarvanga Naipunam. Mataji. Tamimam te pravakshyami yam avocham puranage rishinam shrotu kamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. What meaning? Tam imam, that very, te, to you, pravakshyami, I shall explain, yam, which, avocham, I explained, pura, formerly, anage, O pious mother, rishinam, to the sages, shrotu kamanam, eager to hear, yogam, yoga system, sarvanga, in all respects, naipunam, serviceable and practical. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. If I can request somebody to put glasses on for Prabhupada. Yeah, translation. O most pious mother, I shall now explain unto you the ancient yoga system which I explained formerly to the great sages. It is serviceable and practical in every way. Purport. The Lord does not manufacture a new system of yoga. Sometimes it is claimed that someone has become an incarnation of God and is expounding a new theological aspect of the absolute truth. But here we find that although Kapila Muni is the Lord himself and is capable of manufacturing a new doctrine for his mother, he nevertheless says, I shall just explain the ancient system which I once explained to the great sages because they were also anxious to hear about it. When we have a super excellent process already present in Vedic scriptures, there is no need to concoct a new system to mislead the innocent public. At present, it has become a fashion to reject the standard system and present something bogus in the name of a newly invented process of yoga. Homajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Devahuti is now, we can say, by her humble position, by taking a humble position and asking pertinent, relevant question, she, although as a mother, she is in a position to feed milk to the child. She has swapped the roles, and now she is drawing the milk of transcendental knowledge from her son, Lord Kapila. So this is the conversation between Mother Devahuti and Lord Kapila, which is going to bring about a lot of clarity in the way we look at our world. Our world view is going to change, the way we look at matter, spirit, the way we practice devotional service, and also engage in devotional service by using matter and not being used by matter. Because we are distinct from matter. We are spirit, the minute particle which is separate from the mind and the senses. And also we'll understand about the universal elements, at the micro level and at the macro level, how creation happens at the 5 elements being present inside us, outside us. All of that knowledge is going to come out. Now the way Mother Devahuti presents herself is very crucial. She is putting herself in a very humble position. She is saying she is disturbed by her senses. And she admits that she has fallen into a dark abyss of ignorance. And she is overcome by the Lord's external potency. So she is submitting herself in a very humble position, and then she puts forward relevant questions. Then, even before that, she glorifies the Lord as the axe by which she can cut the entanglement of material existence, as the sun who can dissipate the darkness of the ignorance. And she also considers him as the boat by which she can cross the ocean of nescience. Then she puts forward her questions. So Lord Kapila is starting to reply, but Lord Kapila is very touched by the attitude of his mother, and that draws a certain kind of emotion. He thanks her in his heart and then starts to explain this knowledge. So the lesson we can learn from this mood of Devahuti and how she is interacting, she swapped roles. She is not seeing Lord Kapila as my son born out of me, so he is inferior, I am superior. She is not seeing from a bodily point of view. She is able to see through spiritual eyes, Shastra Chakshus. And then she is putting forward these questions. So when we are approaching spiritual authorities, we have to admit our fallen position, glorify their superior position, put forward relevant spiritual inquiries, and be eager to hear so that we can get spiritual realization. We should ask for spiritual guidance, spiritual solutions, and be eager to get spiritual realizations. So this is the same way in which Arjuna approaches Lord Krishna. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So the role is changed. They are no longer friends. Krishna is now the spiritual master. Arjuna is the disciple, as Prahlad Prabhu was describing a few days earlier. How Lord Krishna is milking the Upanishads and giving the milk to the calf. In the same way, Mother Devahuti is drawing that knowledge through her humble service attitude. Now Lord Kapila is starting to explain the glories of this knowledge. It started off with the last verse 13. The yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is meant for the ultimate benefit of the living entity. So these are the characteristics of the yoga system. Yoga Adhyatmikaha. So this Adhyatmika yoga relating to the soul. It is beneficial for all living entities. It is complete. And the result of practicing this yoga system, what do you get? Is you get detachment from all happiness and distress in the material world. And that was the theme of the last previous verse. And Lord Kapila also glorifies this yoga system as the highest yoga system. Why? Because it is the ultimate benefit for all living beings. And then it causes detachment from both the happiness and the distress of this material world. Now in this verse, today's verse, he is continuing to glorify the yoga system that he is going to explain. It is very similar to what Lord Krishna does in the 4th chapter, how he glorifies the yoga system that he is going to explain to Arjuna. So Srila Prabhupada has spoken in this section, on this section very elaborately, so that gave me a lot of relief to find materials to speak. So I don't have to manufacture, I just have to repeat. So he has spoken on the previous verse and this verse also. So what I've done is I've taken points from Prabhupada's lectures and also try to add few points as I progress. So here Lord Kapila is addressing his mother as Anage, O pious mother. So Prabhupada explains what Anagha means. Anagha means one who has no sinful reaction in life. So then he splits the word. Agha means papa or sin. Ana means without. So Anagha means without sin. So you will find this, the speaker will glorify the audience, or the audience will glorify the speaker in this way by qualifying them as saying Anagha. It is more relevant when the speaker glorifies the person who is asking question and is willing to give this knowledge, because you are without sin, you are without envy, you are without hatred and all of that. So that's why here Lord Kapila is glorifying his mother as, O pious mother. So Prabhupada goes on to explain that one cannot understand spiritual wisdom and practice it constantly unless his sinful reactions are burned out. So he quotes the famous verse, Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavrata. So if we are struggling in our practice, it's an indication that our sinful reactions, we're still facing some remnants of that sinful reaction, and that is pulling us back. So the next theme is the description of this yoga. So Prabhupada zooms into this verse which Lord Kapila uses in the previous verse, Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika means to awaken the soul to his proper position. This is in quotes. This is directly the words of Prabhupada. Adhyatmika means to awaken the soul to his proper position. So what is his proper position? He is eternal servant of the Lord. Now, Prabhupada also explains what this yoga is not meant for. It is not meant for, in a sarcastic way, says that it's not meant for you to practice, to lose weight, to become fit, or to gain any of the siddhis with which you become lighter than the lightest, and all of the siddhis. So this yoga is not meant for that. So he clearly says what is his yoga and who is it meant for and what it is not. So then, the characteristics of the soul is being described, how it is ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano. So Prabhupada zooms into this word purano, which means the soul is also ever existing and primeval. The yoga system that is meant to connect him to the Supreme is also meant to be oldest, and that it cannot be manufactured. If it is manufactured, it has got a start date, right? But this yoga system is also Purana, it is also eternal. And that's why Prabhupada emphasizes that this yoga system is not born out of a fertile imagination of a mundane person with all his limitations, but it is existing eternally. So because the soul is Purana, the process is also Purana, therefore the soul must take up this process to reach the ultimate goal, which is to resituate himself as the eternal servant of the Lord. So while we are discussing about this yoga, Adhyatmika yoga, there are angas to this Adhyatmika yoga as described in the Bhagavad Subodhini, that there are three angas. One is bhakti, which stands on itself, not dependent on other processes. And then we have jnana, which is where the Sankhya part is. And this jnana is bhakti mishra jnana, which means the jnana is prominent, and to achieve success in their jnana, the practitioners use bhakti. Then the third anga is Ashtanga Yoga, which is, again, the practitioners want to perfect themselves in Ashtanga Yoga, but they use bhakti as a means to gain success in their practice. So it's Bhakti Mishra Yoga. So these are the three angas of this Adhyatmika Yoga. So the next theme is the eagerness of the audience to hear the message. Shrotu Kamanam. So intense desire for what? For hearing. So then, of course, Prabhupada emphasizes on the angas of bhakti. How does it begin? Shravanam. So hearing. So hearing is the first. So without hearing, nothing begins. Now, question to all of you, how do you get realization? Hearing, experiencing, by speaking about it, okay? Applying the knowledge, very good. So, for us to get realization, we need to apply the knowledge. Before applying, we have to contemplate on the knowledge. And before that, we must have heard. You see the connection? If you have not heard, you will not receive knowledge. You won't have anything to contemplate. You don't have anything to contemplate, you can't apply anything. If you don't apply, then the jnana will not transform into vijnana. Do you see the connection? So if hearing is not there, I won't receive knowledge. I won't have anything to contemplate on. If I don't contemplate on anything, I won't act on it. If I don't act on the knowledge, I won't get realization. So therefore, for us to get realization, hearing is very, very crucial. So that's why the 7.1 Tat Shrunu, Srila Prabhupada, that particular verse, Srila Prabhupada has given the maximum lectures. So, this is direct quote from Prabhupada's lecture. Eagerness to hear. So he's speaking about the eagerness to hear. Quote, "This is one of the qualifications for spiritual advancement. One must be eager to hear." Because the spiritual life begins by hearing. Any other verses anyone can remember from the Bhagavatam glorifying or emphasizing the eagerness to hear? Tasmat ekena manasa Bhagavan Satvatam Pati Shrotavya Kirtitavyasya Kheya Kuryasya Nityada. Translation, please. With one pointed attention, we have to hear. Bhagavan Satvatam Pati. Yeah. By hearing. Hearing and glorifying. Yeah. Worship. So as Mataji is rightly pointing out, the importance of hearing is, you will find a lot of verses glorifying the process of hearing. So one of them that came to my mind is from the first canto, second chapter, Divinity and Divine Service, where the effect of a person who is eager to hear, what happens to him, what happens to his consciousness. So that is described in this particular verse. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of a devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. This is the point I was trying to make. The devotee has developed the urge to hear his messages. So then what happens? The Lord takes responsibility for hearing the material, for cleaning the material desires from the heart of such a devotee. Then, these messages are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna. That's the verse. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hridyantasto hi abhadrani viduhnoti shurud satam. So having looked at the glories of this particular yoga path, the importance of hearing, the next theme we'll look at is how this particular process exists and it doesn't need to be manufactured. And that's why there are a lot of points in this particular purport, today's purport. Prabhupada says the Lord does not manufacture a new system of yoga. There's a lot of words in this purport. I have to look up the meaning in the dictionary. Expounding a new theological aspect of the absolute truth, and manufacturing a new doctrine. So, just for my own clarity, I looked up the meaning of these verses, words. Expound means explain in detail with various examples and illustrations, particularly specific to a religious doctrine. So doctrine means a set of a belief or a set of belief, especially related to theology. So theology is a study of the nature of God and the various aspects of Him. So, Lord can manufacture, He can create a new system, but He Himself doesn't do it, even though He's capable of doing it. If He says, this is the new system, I created it, you have to listen, everybody listens to it, but He doesn't He says, this has been there, and I'm going to explain. That's what Prabhupada says. The Lord Himself is capable of manufacturing a new doctrine for His mother, but He nevertheless says, I shall just explain the ancient system which I once explained to the great sages, because they were also anxious to hear about it. So the Lord does not manufacture, even though He is Purna Purushottam. He doesn't have any defects. He doesn't manufacture. But the living entities, some of them have the audacity to manufacture a new yoga system and claim themselves to be an incarnation. And that's what Prabhupada is against. And then Prabhupada uses this word, super excellent process. So that's why, that kind of led me into the next theme of glorifying the process, glorifying the yoga path, which Lord Kapila is explaining to his mother. With a specific focus on these two or these three themes, like how it is super excellent, how the process is serviceable, how it is practical. So this is how Prabhupada also spoke in that lecture. I'm just giving subheadings to what he has spoken. So in the temples we see a lot of children coming and bowing down, paying obeisances, and then you might have seen them, and I've personally learned a lot of shlokas by their mothers forcing their children to learn the shlokas when they were bowing down, especially Lord Jagannath's prayer, Neelachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrayam Jagannathaya Te Namah. This I learned by seeing a mother teaching her child to say this mantra when the child was bowing down to Lord Jagannath. So, no matter what age you come and bow down and pay respects to the Lord, Prabhupada says Lord takes notice of that. He says he doesn't discriminate. So the process is very practical, and it is applicable even from the children right up to the time that you leave the world. Radhesham Prabhu uses this word, from womb to tomb. So if the mother is pregnant, she comes and hears the kirtan, takes honors the prasadam, then both are getting benefited. And none of the other process. The pregnant mothers cannot do a lot of yogasanas. There are a lot of restrictions they can't do, but they can do bhakti, all the angas of it. No restrictions. There is no counter pose required for asanas. So because you perform an asana, you need to have a counter pose. But in bhakti, there is nothing like that. So there is no, you don't need to do anything to counteract. Now we talked about the womb. So when it comes to the position that the soul is leaving the body, hearing is the only organ that's functioning. They may see deity pictures, or they may not be able to recognize even pictures, but they can still hear. So the people around them, if they're chanting the holy name, when the soul is departing, it still gets benefit. At that precarious situation, when the life airs are totally out of your control, what works is the holy name, because it reaches the soul, cuts through all the layers and reaches the soul. It's a famous verse where the Lord himself assures a devotee that at the time of death, if my devotee, due to imbalance in the vata, pitta, kapha, forgets me, I force myself into his memory. Yadi vatadi doshena mad bhakta mam na cha smaret. Aham smarami mad bhakta nayami paramagatim. So I will force myself into his memory, and I will take him back to my abode. So this is the Lord taking responsibility. So Varaha Puran. The reason I know this is because in the Sri Sampradaya they have to chant a section of this. It's part of their morning, part of their sadhana. My parents took this up later on after I joined ISKCON and all of that. So the opportunity is given to all, no matter age, what age you are in, what gender, nationality, caste, creed, all of that. is not a barrier for practicing bhakti. Now, what happens if a practitioner falls down from his bhakti practice? He has given up his occupational activities, he has surrendered to the Lord. While practicing bhakti, he falls down. And that's where the serviceable, one of the meaning of serviceable is also durable. The results you obtain by practicing bhakti is not taken away at the time of death, because it's practiced at the level of soul. Soul never dies. The bhakti credits that the soul gets also doesn't die when the body dies. It carries over to the next birth. Many of you know this verse, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe. So that's how bhakti is practical and serviceable. Whatever bhakti credits a person has accumulated, the Lord protects and then puts him in the proper family in the next life. This doesn't happen for other yoga paths. How much ever you build your body at the time of death, it's all taken away. How much ever material education that you have, it's all taken away. The pious credits that you get by doing various karma kanda activities, for the pious activity also you have to take birth, impious also you have to take birth. So, in that sense, bhakti is serviceable and practical. Next, Prabhupada focuses on the cleansing potency of the process of bhakti. So he quotes a Bengali poetry. Can we sing together? I'll sing the first line. Suchi hoya muchi hoya yadi Krishna tyaje muchi hoya suchi hoya yadi Krishna bhaje. Anyone wants to guess the meaning? Whether you're clean or unclean? Yeah, it's a little different. It's good, very similar to what you're trying to say, whatever clean or unclean situation. Yeah. So, Suchi hoya muchi hoya yadi Krishna tyaje. If somebody gives up the bhajan of Krishna, even if he is Suchi, even if he is born in a Brahmin family, he is considered muchi. That's the first two lines. Suchi hoya, muchi hoya, yadi Krishna tyaje. If he gives up the bhajan, bhakti process. However, muchi hoya, suchi hoya, yadi Krishna bhaje. If a person in the muchi family, supposedly born in a low caste, if he takes up bhakti, these verses will also come in Lord Kapiladev's section also. So, I'm just reading the Prabhupada's words. If somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, even born in the family of a cobbler, Muchi, he becomes Suchi. He becomes more than a Brahmana. And Muchi Hoya, Suchi Hoya. If one is born in a family of Brahmana, but he gives up Krishna consciousness, then he becomes a Muchi. So then, as usual, Prabhupada will make a point, illustrate with Shastric references. So he quotes this famous verse from 2.4.18, where all the castes which are lower than even Shudra are listed. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, that particular verse. Members of the Kasha races and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified. How? By taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to His, it is capital H, the Lord being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto Him. Now, Any examples you can think of, those who were Muchi then became Suchi from your Shastric knowledge? Sorry? Who were Muchi but become Suchi? Chagai Madai. Very good. Yeah. Who else? Hunter. What's his name? Mrigari. Mrigari the hunter, who was killing the animals, half killing them and leaving them and enjoying them die like that. So he became elevated to the extent that next time, so Narad Muni preaches to him, obviously, makes him a devotee, then he makes sure that I will provide you with enough of grains for you to survive. So you give up chanting and just sit down, you give up hunting, just sit down and start chanting. So he becomes a sadhu, then the whole village, they starts to give him the food. So next time when Narad Muni along with his another friend, another Muni, I forgot his name, Parvat Rishi, they come. So they, in a distance when Mrigari sees, and as soon as you see, you pay dandavats to your spiritual master. So before paying dandavats and before approaching them, he is tiptoeing and walking. And why is he doing it? So that he shouldn't step on the ants. So you see the transformation? Sudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave nama. That is, all the Muchis were listed. However, when they, this is exact quote, though a person be even the most sinful man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with a pure Vaishnava. This is from that particular verse purport, 2.4.18. So this is the transformation that happens in the life of those who are even below the Shudra platform. So here we are not trying to discriminate people, but we are trying to bring out the point about how bhakti is serviceable and practical for all those within the Varnashrama system or those who even don't follow the Varnashrama system. So that's the next point Prabhupada goes to. To implement Varnashrama system, you must have humans. But if the people are not even at the level of humans, then still bhakti process works to make them humans, elevate them, and then elevate them further. In this way, even for implementing Varnashram system in an environment which is totally not conducive, still bhakti works. It elevates them to the human platform, and then you start giving all the other don'ts. First you start with the do's. Chant Hare Krishna, eat prasadam, dance. Nectar of devotion, if you look at it, a lot of the processes talk about this elevation. By wearing the garland which is offered to the Lord, by drinking the Charnamrit, what happens? What's written over there? Akala mrityu haranam sarva vyadi. Yeah, just by drinking. And a person in the mode of ignorance who is drinking wine, Prabhupada says, if he thinks that the taste of wine is Krishna and he remembers Krishna, he still makes progress. So in this way, because bhakti is able to help implement Varnashram in an environment where you can't implement Varnashram, therefore it is super excellent, therefore it is serviceable and practical. So there are many other examples within the Gita where you can remember the Lord while drinking water. The digestive fire, that's Krishna. The airs that are moving inside your body. So even if you are in the Annamaya platform, Pranamaya platform, Manomaya platform, all of that still they can take up bhakti process. Because the soul being active, you want to do and engage in some activity, so engage in seva. So that's the active part of the bhakti. Now, you can't be just running around and doing, so you need to know how to do things. So that is the jnana part. So how do we do activities to please Krishna? So we need to know the person Krishna, what his preferences are. This is the jnana part. And then the seva tells you how to do things. Sorry, what to do is the seva part, and how to do is the jnana part. And why we do what we do, the motive, that is the core bhakti. We don't do anything that doesn't please the Lord. So we start from the Lord, and what He wants, we start doing it. What He has taught, we start learning it. And we meditate on Him. So starting from the Lord and working backwards, so that's bhakti. But starting from myself, I am eager to do actions, and then the end result of my actions I will offer to the Lord. What is that path? Karma. I want to learn a lot. I will also learn something related to Krishna. I will connect that. What's that? Jnana. So I like to sit and meditate, regulate my breathing, and I'll try to focus on the form of the Lord. That is Ashtanga. So this is how the connection is made. However, in bhakti we do all of this. We're doing seva, which is actions. It may seem like karma yoga, but it is guided by what pleases the Lord. And then we follow sadachar when dealing with other Vaishnavas. When we are doing seva, doesn't mean that we hurt others or by our words or by actions. And people may think, look who's talking. Anyway, I feel myself like Ajamal who's given a second chance. So we have follow sadachar, then we do swadhyaya, which means study of the self. It's not self-study, it's a study of the nature of the self. And then we have sadhana, which grounds you in the spiritual practices, which is a daily disciplined practice as to, it gives direction why we are doing. It's like a steering wheel. So bhakti comprises of all of this, and that's why the process is super excellent, it is serviceable, and it is practical. So thus we saw the mood of Devahuti and how that draw the attention and mercy from Lord Kapila. Lord Kapila is beginning to speak by glorifying the process. This is the Adhyatmika Yoga pertaining to the nature of the soul. It elevates you, it detaches you from material happiness and distress. I didn't manufacture this, I'm speaking it. I've spoken this to the sages before because they were eager to hear. Then we saw about the eagerness to hear, the importance, how you will not get realization if you don't hear. We saw the whole thing. Then the process of how bhakti transforms a muchi to a suchi, how it is practical to the extent where people who are lower than Shudras can also be elevated, and they can become up to the level of conducting a yajna. So that verse will come up later on. So I'll leave it there and see if there are any questions, corrections, clarifications on what we discussed. I think last time I missed out Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj in the layers of conversations. Yes. Yeah. Yam avocham rishinam. So I've spoken this to the sages. Is there any reference to who are the sages who listen to them? And is it mentioned in any scripture? Honestly, I don't know. Anyone knows? So this specific thing is Sankhya Yoga being spoken to a set of sages. Is that what you're asking? What incarnation he spoke? The same Sankhya Yoga. Who are the rishis who listened to that time? I have no idea. You maybe write a question to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So Ravi is going to do that and give us the answer. Yeah. Yeah, what passages defines what he wants? Yeah, the examples are in the 9th chapter. What he prefers, patram, pushpam. Yeah, yeah. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water, then I accept it. Offering with devotion. So, what's in his mind? That's a very good question. We have to satisfy Krishna. We need to know what his preferences are. Then he tells. And then how to see the worldly things in connection to him. That's also there in the 10th chapter. Yeah, chapter 12 is exclusively talks about even the qualities that will make you dear to him. How do you, one of them is being not affected by the dualities, not being affected by happiness, distress. That quality also makes one dear to Krishna. Thanks for listening patiently. Yeah. Yeah. What is the reason? Okay. So, yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, when I'm hearing, but I feel that I know this already, and why is this happening? Okay. Yeah, I had to work on this myself. So the reason we expect newer and newer things every day is because of the mode of passion. We want something new every day to hear. It's already old thing, why should I hear? However, if we, I know, but have I realized it? Have I progressed forward, and is it become part of me that I'm living by it? The realized person is living by it. So you hear, you contemplate, then you apply, it slowly becomes part of you, then you're living by it. For example, now I don't have to tell you, don't eat meat. Right? It's already become part of you. But till the point I was not a vegetarian, so I was eating meat, but in a particular month, in a year, we won't eat meat. So that's when I came to Krishna consciousness, and that's when it all stopped. So till the point you keep hearing, till that it becomes part of you, then when you start explaining to others, the mercy flows. So when we come and hear, we hear as if we don't know anything, like a blank slate. Then the knowledge will flow from a higher end to the lower end. Water flows from a higher to the lower. Electricity also flows from a higher to the lower. So if you consider yourself lower, even if you know, if you come here like an open slate and then allow the message to flow, then the teachings will have effect, and then the transformation will happen. I think we discussed this last time. Why transformation is not happening? One of the reasons is I'm not hearing with this intention to purify myself. Okay? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What will stop a person from being eager to hear the messages? So we discussed that in detail in the previous session, but I'll give a quick synopsis, like the point that Prabhu asked now. So coming in with a mentality that I know, that will block, and at the point which um, Radha Vinod, who gave class yesterday? Radhika Prasad Prabhu mentioned yesterday. If we don't know how much we are entangled, the complexity of the entanglement that we are in, we won't call out to the Lord in a very with emotions and feelings. So if you know how much you are entangled, so then you'll come to hear with that eagerness to get out. If you're saying I'm comfortable, I'm okay, then you won't hear with that eagerness. And then hearing with the motive to present to others, not willing to transform oneself but want to teach to others. With that motive, you come and sit. Yeah, those are some of the